everybody, welcome back my quilty friends. You found Lala D's Quilting Bee and I am Laura, and this is the portion of my channel where we talk about all things quilty. I'm so glad you're here. If it's your first time, welcome, and if you caught my first video, because there's only been one other quilting video so far, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. I'm excited to chat with you about what I've done, and then we'll go into, I have some questions to answer from comments, and then we'll do progress report, and then I want to talk about kind of how I organize my projects. I kind of like with my quilting, I have more than one thing going at once. I know, it's a big surprise. But then I have a little bit of a quilt top parade. Last video went a little long just because I had lots to share, and so I eliminated or demoted the quilt tops for another video, but I have them all out. They're in their tub right behind me here, and so while they're out, let's share them. I'm filming this a little earlier. You guys will see this on the 16th, but I have family coming into town to visit next week, so the week of the 16th. And so this is being filmed on Saturday, what is today? The 11th? Yeah, the 11th. So I don't have quite as much done as I'd hoped, just because I lost a few days in stitching land, but I still got some stuff done to share, so this will be fun. And I've got lots to show you. There's always lots to show you. I have no end on ideas for these videos yet, so this will be good. Get a little sip here. Also, I have fancy nails. I got my nails did yesterday. And everything feels like so if I'm a little over I can't think of the word. Anyways, if I gesture a lot, if I'm very expressive with my hands, it's just because I'm feeling all fancy. So there you have it. Okay, a couple of questions. One person asked what my favorite local shop is, local quilt shop. I don't know that I've been to enough to have a favorite yet. I've been in the area for just over 6 months, and I'm in the Seattle area, and I have only been to 2 shops, but there are a lot of shops around. It's just some of them take a little bit of a drive, and until I'm just getting used to the density of traffic in the area, and feeling more adventurous. I'm a chicken when it comes to lots of traffic. So I've been to, I'm going to totally butcher the name of this shop, in Issaquah, Gypsian. I shouldn't even try. But there's a lovely quilt shop in Issaquah that I've been to, and then I also I've been to the one in Snohomish, which is closer to me, several times, and that is Quilting Mayhem, and they've got a lot to see there. They have a whole upstairs section with threads and machines and kind of clothing / accessory. So like if you're making bags you need zippers and stuff like that, they've got all of that upstairs. They run a long arming business out of there. They've got a classroom, and they've got a nice big quilt shop downstairs. So I mean, it's kind of one-stop shopping for the quilter. And I've really enjoyed going there. Plus, anytime I go into my chiropractor, I mean, it's kind of necessary. If you're driving by the quilt shop, your car just kind of like goes into auto drive into the parking lot, right? So I stop in there frequently. Let's see. My next question is, who did the snail trail pattern? I am still looking. I will get it out there. If I find it before my next video, which would be April 16th, I will, I'll just answer directly. If I if I find it before I post this on the 16th, then I'll try to add a little clip at the end that says, but I just can't remember. I'm so sorry. But I am looking. I will find it. I will find it. What batting do I like? I prefer personally 100% cotton battings. They just breathe. They have nice drape. They're easier to work with, especially where I'm doing my own quilting at home. I really like Quilter's Dream. That's what I've used for the last 5 or 6 years. I've also used Warm and Natural, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that at all. And that's easily findable at, I think I've bought it at Joann's in the past when I've needed to. I typically try to go to quilt shops specifically for my supplies, but you know, life happens and sometimes you just can't afford one thing or another. And if you can get a coupon, use the coupon, right? So am I working at a shop now? No, I am blissfully footloose and fancy free. I am playing housewife right now and loving it. I have worked in quilt shops for a long time. I think I talked about that a little bit in my intro in my last video. So I worked at a quilt shop in Spokane and then a quilt shop in Portland area. And so I don't work anywhere right now, but I am a sample maker for the shop in Portland still. And that's a great way. Like lots of shops, the owners are so generous. If you do samples, they usually will, you know, give you a discount or there's perks to be in a there's perks to be in a sample maker. So so I'm still doing that. Plus it keeps me in touch with my friends back there, which I love. So fabric storage. I am dreaming of a future video where I just do a tour of my craft room, and you'll get kind of little dribbles of fabric storage ideas as I go. In fact, you'll see a little bit of it today. But I think I'm going to save like the whole how I do life in my sewing room for a clip in a video or a video of its own. And then somebody asked me if I still had pictures of baby quilts I've done. I have very few pictures. Unfortunately, it actually makes me very sad. And I mentioned this at some point in another video. I don't remember when. It might have been, well, doesn't matter. I have made a lot of quilts and I've given away most of what I've made for the last decade. And so sorry, my nose is so itchy. I keep touching my face. I feel like I need hand sanitizer. The world is waking up outside. We had snow a week ago. Not much. Not like, oh my goodness, not like California or some places are getting, my goodness. If you're in any of those areas, I hope you are safe. Mother Nature's throwing her best shots at the world right now. But back on baby quilts, I've made a lot of them. I have given them all away, and I was terrible at taking pictures, unfortunately. So I'm working on digging through, you know, like back in the day, you had a roll of camera film and you sent it to Costco or wherever, and then you got your pictures back and you had, you know, boxes of physical pictures, and now it's all digital and there are thousands of them. And figuring out where we've stored like our older photos is taking some. They're all on CDs, which apparently computers don't have CD drives anymore, and so finding a way to access all of our archives that are on hard copy. Oh boy, it's been an adventure. Anyways, I'm working on it. If I can get more than like 2 or 3 pictures from my archives, I will happily share what I've done. I do have, is it down there? Over here? I do have, well, I'll just tell you, I have a binder. So there was one year where I went off the deep end of the crazy pool, and I I made a quilt for all of my nieces and nephews at the time in one year for Christmas. It was a Christmas present. Everybody got one. And I think it was like 16 quilts. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I did quite a lot of applique and embroidery in those. And I actually had to take a break from applique embroidery because I exhausted like all of the muscles in my hands. It was bad. Don't do that. The folly of youth. Anyway, I learned my lesson in a big way. I had a brace. I mean, I still wear a brace occasionally, but I have a binder. I had to organize it, and I had a binder with all of the quilts I made and what fabric I used and, you know, details. And so potentially we'll have a baby quilt episode if I can ever get all of my ducks in a row and find things to make that happen. Anyways, sorry, it's kind of a long non-answer, but if I find them, I'll share them. How about that? In synopsis. Okay, so let's talk about what I did last week. Yes, let's talk about that first. So I have this basket for, let me pull out my binder here real quick. This is the quilt I'm working towards, and I am, let me, there we go. I am making it bigger. So I'm making it king size because I have a king size bed and I really want it on my bed. And I'm not doing it in the two colors. I have picked a main fabric for the borders and sashing, and then for these stars, the larger triangles in the stars. And then I have oh my goodness, excuse me. I have chosen a variety of prints that coordinate with my main print to make variegated feathers, basically. And this is, it looks like a feathered star. I typically, like when I'm talking to my mom or something, I'm like, oh yeah, that feathered star I'm working on. But it's actually not a feathered star. It's called a Pierre star. And I've got a little picture. I think they talked about, yes, here we go. It's from American Patchwork and Quilting magazine, the October 2005. And so you can see a feathered star comes clear out to a fine point. You get that last diamond on the end, basically, to complete the star. A Pierre block, or Pierre star, however you want to say it, is cut off. It's cut off on that last point, so you get a more blocky star. Anyway, I think it's very interesting. Let's see. Well, we'll just write the thing. We'll read the thing. This is what they say. The Pierre block, which appeared in the publication Hearth and Home, is a distinctive version of a feathered star. Unlike most feathered star blocks, the star points in a Pierre block are cut off rather than ending with a parallelogram-shaped piece, the official term for diamondy points. Also note the reverse placement of the lights and darks in the triangle squares that make up the feathers on the Pierre block versus more common versions of feathered star blocks. So that is the other thing. If you look, we've got on the feathered star, the light triangles, light feathers touch the background, basically. And on this, the dark feathers touch the background, which kind of makes the light ones the points that stand out, Anyway, it's really cool. It's a neat block. And I made one years and years ago, and I have loved it so much that I wanted to redo it, basically, but different, like redo it but not have it be like an echo of the same thing. So when last we met, I was working on my 1200 half square triangle units, which if I can get down to the bottom of the stack, set that there. This is the state they were in. And there are a plethora of them, you can see. And oopsie. I'll just throw them around my room like confetti. Anyways, so you can see kind of my palette in here. It's pretty varied. I mean, we go from soft yellows. Well, I mean, that's kind of the softest yellow. That's not very soft, but yellow into peach into pretty raspberry colors, and then I've got down to deep like forest green, and some have prints and some don't, so it's real varied. And my goal for this chunk of time between videos was to complete step 4, which was taking all these squares and making something of them. And I'm not going to show you all of them because there are 100. But I did get some of these units put together. And it's really been fun because you start to see how all of these colors are going to play. So these are the corner units. If we look at, let me set my basket over there. Let me find our picture again, but not the pattern. Okay, here we go. That shows it. I'll go back to this one. So these are these corner units. So right here on the big picture. And they're all very different from each other, but they're gonna mesh really lovely. I'm really excited to start laying blocks out. I've got one more step, basically, of many points being assembled. Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Sorry about that. Anyways, one more step of points being assembled into larger units before I can start making my blocks. And my goodness, this is the fiddly part that will, I'm gonna do this because this was kind of fun. I laid it out on the table the other day just to see how like everything would look together. See if I can hold it. Nope. Okay. Anyways, it's gonna be really pretty. I'm so excited. This is a taupe grunge. That is my background. And I did something different, which I have been nervous about, honestly. I think it's, well, I'm confident in my ability to plan a project, and I think it will come out fine. But I've definitely had moments where I'm like, is this gonna work? Because you can see we've got real strong color, and then really light, and then real strong color again. So huge contrast. And the contrast will be there, but it's gonna be like this weird, well, it's all gonna work out. Anyways, this is my palette. This is my main print. And so you can see all these colors are in there. We've got the peaches, the orange, the fuchsia, the chartreuse, all different kinds of greens, golds, teals, soft blues. I mean, it's all there, but what will be interesting is my background is darker than the background of this. And I've definitely had these moments as I'm making my blocks where I'm like, is that all gonna come together? Is it gonna play nice and be pretty? And yes, I think the answer is yes. It's just going to be different than my last one because my last one had that strong contrast. The main print was really densely colored. It was a much smaller print, and so it read more solid. This one's looser, but I loved it, and I just like had this. Anyways, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great. I need to stop overthinking it. I'm just gonna keep plugging ahead. Anyways, so I have all 100 corner units done, and I'm loving them. And so now I need to get the other 100. They're like the center triangle units. And then I can start assembling blocks. So I would like to get all of those assembled in the next month, and then hopefully have at least one block assembled to show you next time. That would be really fun. I mean, I will get nothing done for the next week, but it could happen. We've got a month. There's time. Anyways, it's been really fun to see it start to come together into something. And that's one of my favorite things about quilting is I love the planning process. It's all these ideas swirling around in my head, and then you go through all this, I mean, hours of cutting, stitching, you know, thousands of triangles together, cutting them apart, trimming them, putting them together, and it doesn't feel like anything's happening. But then all of a sudden you reach this point in the project where everything starts going downhill, and suddenly you can see your vision coming to life, and I love it. I love it. Okay, so I did that, and that honestly was the bulk of what I worked on. I have 12 blocks for my churn dash row on Midnight at the Oasis by Jen Kingwell, and my goal was to get all 12 of those sewn together. You can see there are a plethora of them. They just are everywhere. I got 2 because I was more excited about the other one, and you just sew what feels good when you sit down. So here, let me see if I can get a background because I don't know if it will focus. Sorry for the... Okay. I thought I had... Well, here's just some... Is that white? No. Okay, never mind. Forget it. We'll just do our best with what we have. I'll use the back of this pattern. Okay, so 2 little churn dash blocks. Oh, they're so cute. And they're so funky. So this one is, I very rarely stick to one designer and their fabric line. And so like, this is a Jen Kingwell design, and this is Jen Kingwell fabric. And this is one of the few projects I actually am. I'm gonna pull out my little box here. Sorry for the funkings. I hadn't planned on this, but I'm gonna show you. So I had bought I think about a fat 1/8 pack, and then I filled in with yardage on this one. And I store projects that I have, that I'm actively working on, in these cute little tubs you can get at Target or Walmart, or, I mean, they're pretty much everywhere. And they change the style every once in a while, but I really like the clippy handles because you can fill it nice and full and it will still close. There's nothing worse than getting everything in there and it's organized and you're like, yeah! And then you go to put the lid on and you're like, trying to get it close, you know? Anyways. So this is my Midnight at the Oasis kit, per se. This is my sashing that goes between each row, because it's kind of a round robin quilt. Each row is different, but it's circular rather than linear. Anyways, and then these are my fabrics, and this will be avalanche. I'll get it. This is gonna be my backing. Oh, it's gonna be so good. I love it. But it's all, with the exception of, I think, this dot, which just looked good with it. And I needed a different scale background for one portion of it. But everything is Jen Kingwell designed fabric as well. And that's been really fun. Excuse me. Just pick up those little squares that avalanched everywhere. Anyway, that's been really fun. But I want it to be, I don't want cookie cutter blocks. So this is very scrappy, and you can see she's just very scrappy in how she designs. And brain. So I want each one to be different. So it takes time to pick blocks and even get to the point where you're ready to sew them together. This has been a long-term project, partly because I haven't worked on it exclusively, but also partly because it takes time. So like this one, 1, 2, 3, 4 different fabrics. I had to pick 4 fabrics I liked, and then you cut it out. And this one was 3, and you cut it out. And so it's really fun. I'm not complaining. I love it. But you have to be in the right mood, because there's a lot of decision making that goes into it, which is why I cut out like 12 one day, and they just sit over there in their little stacks. And then I'm ready to assemble them whenever the mood strikes me, basically. So let's get him back in his cubby. Okay. Anyway, so that's what I did. I would still like to get the other 10 left stitched in the next month, because I would like to be making progress on this through the year. Not that I'm in a hurry, but... And then I made one project bag for my cross stitch, which I just love this fabric. And I've been playing with the idea of larger project bags. My other ones kind of run more like the size of a sheet of paper this way, and some projects you just need bigger, and so I don't know, I was just playing around. So there it is. It's really cute though. I love this fabric. I think it's Wyndham Fabrics that designed that one. Don't quote me on that though. Don't quote me. Okay. My other 2 goals were to pull fabrics for Baker's Dozen, another Jen Kingwell, but one I'm making as a gift, and then Fab Farm, which is so cute, and I want to start it ASAP. It may be April or May before I actually start it though, which is okay. I have no shortage of projects. So let me grab my stacks for Baker's Dozen real quick. I did share it on Instagram, but not everybody has Instagram. So if you don't, I want you to be able to see where we're going with it. And it's going to be a little tough to show everything together, but I'll do my best. Hold one moment, please. Okay. It's just sitting on the lid of my 1800s tub. So this is the quilt, Baker's Dozen by Jen Kingwell. It is really incredible. It's really incredible. And it's going to be one of those, it doesn't have any applique or anything, so I think I am going to assemble it by machine. Some of hers, you don't really have a choice. You have to do some hand stitching, like Midnight at the Oasis. You know, it's applique, it's English paper piecing, it's machine piecing, it's just a menagerie of everything. But this one is all pieced, so is able to be machine pieced. So I think I am going to do it that way. But I had a lovely flooring stitchy kindness. And she had doubles of some of her cross stitch patterns. She watches my floss tubes, and she said, "Hey, I've got doubles of some of these." You know how it is. You find something you love, and then you love it more than once, and you bring it home, and then come home and you're like, "Oh, I already had this." We wind up with 2 quilt books of the same thing, and yeah, anyways, it happens. But she had kind of been going through her stash and had found that she had doubles, and she's like, would you want these? And I was like, sure, I'd love to go through them. Like, at the time I didn't really have time to look through the pictures super closely that she sent. I was like, if you're sure that you want to pass them on, that's great, thank you. And she texted me messaged me a couple weeks later, and she's like, okay, your package is on the way and there's something extra in there. I hope you like it. And oh my goodness, you guys, I was speechless when it came. It's the acrylics for Baker's Dozen. She had watched my video and saw that I was doing it, and she had bought them. She included a little note, and she's like, yeah, I bought them, years ago, and then I never made the quilt, and I probably won't at this point. So I thought they might be useful. Yeah, they're gonna be useful. Now I can do all sorts of fun fussy cutting, and I don't have to make plastic templates, and it's gonna be awesome. Thank you so much. I am thrilled. Anyways, all that is to say, I picked my palette. Oh, that worked out well. It's like in those fancy restaurants where they bring it out all sizzling and ooh, display. But it's quilting fabric, so it's better. Anyway, that's my palette for Baker's Dozen. We've got nice backgrounds, but a mixture between the whiter backgrounds and the creamier, which really opens up what you can do with backgrounds on the colored prints. Anyways, I love it. There's some William Morris, there's Joe Morton in there. We've got a little bit of Kansas Troubles, but they're so stylistic, it's really limited. And then just a collection. I mean, it's been years of collecting fabric, and I just went through my tub and refined it. Anyways, I'm excited. It'll be really fun. So I want to get started on that at some point soon. I'm not sure when that will be. We'll just see. We will see. Let me put this back. Okay. So it's like the Jen Kingwell spotlight today. Here first. So then Fab Farm, I do not have as big a stack. And it was interesting as I started going through my stash, you think, oh, I totally have everything I need for this. Other than the background, I'll just buy the background and I'll be fine. Well, we gravitate towards our own colors, right? And over the last few years, I've really been drawn to larger prints and kind of rainbow colors. And this has a lot of neutral colors, grays, blacks, browns, tans. So Fab Farm by Elizabeth Hartman. I love it. It's so sweet. The fluffy sheep and the goats give me a giggle. I mean, and the dancing chickens, they're so cute. I love it. And the cows. Here's the whole thing all laid out. And as I was looking at it, I realized that there are 2 of each block that match each other. And so as I was pulling fabric, I've got my background, which I had shared last time. There we go. I wanted it to, play nice with the background, but then also I was a lot of Elizabeth Hartman's projects are really nicely laid out. Let me pull out another one. Like here is her, what does she have? Where is it? Yeah. So you have a lot, this is probably why it's different. So it's rainbow effect, right? It kind of ombres into other color ranges. And so she will provide these color swatch pages. So you're like, okay, I'll just find like a tomatoey red or a sandy pink or you can kind of match based off of what she did if you want that look. But it shows you basically how many prints you need, where those prints go, and it's great. I mean, it's a really helpful organizational tool because there's a lot that goes into her projects. I mean, a lot of pieces, thousands of pieces. And and staying organized with Elizabeth Hartman is key. So I was kind of anticipating that when I opened up the pattern, but it's not laid out the same way. It's laid out by the block. So, which in a way is good, but it definitely took kind of restructuring my brain. So I have not chosen where these colors go or if they'll actually be in it. I just decided to say, okay, I'm gonna need some pinks for my pigs, some whites, but I want something, I don't want solid white. So something white but not distracting, that'll be cute for sheepies. I need, chicken colors, yellows for the bees, and warmer golds and browns for the sunflowers. Greens. I just kind of clumped it up by color and then started pulling so that I could start generating a palette. And this is what I wound up with. And it's completely unbalanced at this point. Because, as I was saying, you go into your stack and it's like, oh, I have so many beautiful fabrics, but the print's too big, or the color's not quite right, or that would be cute, but it's just not right for this project. Anyway, so will I use all of these? I am not sure, but it's a start. It's, I think, one of those projects that is going to have a little bit of time to collect pieces here and there, and then it will kind of settle into its thing. I did stop by the quilt shop yesterday, and this is ahead of haul, but it's on topic. So with the exception of those and that, those can go away. We'll talk about this later. But I did kind of try to shop with this project in my head. So I got some pretty golds, got another red that would be cute strawberries, there are some really dark moments in there, and I haven't decided if I want to go full black or if we'll just keep it like a blacky brown, but this gave me one. Another cute pink. And so I haven't, this is so sweet. This is the cutest little fabric. But that could be like hair on a horse or something, because I think if I go prints on this one, I want it to be more delicate, understated prints, so that as a whole it's not distracting from the cute figures that I'm creating to have print. Texture is great. I want texture. I don't want it to be all solids, but I'm going to kind of be more intentional about choosing what prints to put in there. Anyways, it's fun. I started my collecting. My sister's going to be in town. We're going to go to a quilt shop, so there will probably be more gathering. I need some browns. Browns is where I found myself really lacking. And we've got quite a few different, from the warmer cinnamon browns into those kind of taupey gray browns. So I'm gonna need some stuff. Anyways, so that's where we are on that. It's in progress. I've got to oil my chair. It's getting squeaky. Okay, so that's what I did. Last video I said I would talk, you'll notice my wall is naked back there. I would talk about Long Time Gone. So let's do it. Long Time Gone. Oh, first, let's talk about my binder. So this is my binder. I don't remember if I shared in my last video, but this is how I organize current projects. And I have several binders from past years, and I have one binder specifically for like, this is all done. I have a binder for the year I did all the baby quilts. And unless the project is giant and requires, like, this one is so cute, this little Halloween one. I'm doing it with my sister. It's a real slow going because we're trying to do it together. But this is a big pattern. It was originally done as a block of the month by Bunny Hill Designs. It's called Spooky Halloween. And like, these are all pattern pages. So it took a whole binder to do one project. And I have a couple that are like that. They're just, the patterns were more in depth, bigger, they require more space. So they get their own little spot in the sun. But most of my projects for the current year can go into one binder. And that just helps me kind of refine my goals, stay on point. Because you can see there's a lot of goals, a lot of plans. And some of these are not projects. Some of these are like quilt this, you know, finish a project basically. Anyways, so 2023 quilting plans. These are my projects. And then I've got, these are the coolest little things. Okay, so I don't normally go like geeking out about notions, but office supplies are different. So I got these, I think I got them on Amazon, and they're just like sticky notes. You can write on them if you choose to, but they're awesome, especially for this application, because what I can do is I can stick it directly on my graph paper, which is like my cover sheet for the project. And this binder, I mean, it's the start of the year. It's still in development, I would say. As I approach a project specifically, I formalize all of the details. So this is Baker's Dozen. All I've done so far is, pull fabrics. So it will start to grow as I work on it. But then here's my Pierre star, and I don't want to show pattern, but so I'll have my cover sheet, which is usually, well, cover sheet. I usually try to put a picture so I know what I'm looking at. And then I do a color palette page, basically. So if there is some time, because you know how quilt projects go, you don't always finish one in the year you're working on it, unless you're a monogamous quilter or Speedy Gonzalez, because I don't. I mean, I complete things, but you know, this will probably be done this year, but I started collecting for it 2 years ago. So there's it's a process. Anyways, so once I got my palette, once I chose my fabrics that I liked that went with my main print, I took little swatches off of each one and glued them to the page basically. And this has been really a fun practice because I can go back to those baby quilts that I did 8-9 years ago, and I don't have pictures of them, but I have palette swatch pages. And so if like, I can see exactly what I did in my head. Not as good for showing off to other people, but it's a fun like memory lane. So I don't want to show any pattern. Let's jump to the next one. Okay, so here's another quilt. This is one in the works. It's the Tula 100 blocks. I'm just looking to see if I have the book here. Yes. Okay. So this is the book, 100 Modern Quilt Blocks. I just call it Tula's 100 Blocks. It's an awesome book, and it just does individual blocks, but then at the back, it gives you layout for said blocks. And this is the one I want to do. It's so beautiful. And I wanted to feature Tula pink fabrics. So the reason this one hasn't gone anywhere yet is because I have a pre-order on her, oh gosh, I can't remember what the line is called. But the newest line that comes out, I think it's in June or something like that, April or June. April or June, that's a big jump. Sometime later in the year. I think it's her block of the month that starts in April or is available, whatever, doesn't matter, details. But I want those to be incorporated. I think I got, it's either a fat eighth stack or a layer cake, something along those lines. So that I could incorporate those amazing safari animals into fussy cutting for those blocks. Anyways, so I don't have my palette page yet, but I do have like wait for the layer cake, then do my colored page, stitch the 100 blocks. And so it's kind of like a little to-do list ending with bind it, right? And this has just been a fun way to see. So if I go back here, I thought I had one for Pierre. No. See, like I said, it's a work in progress. Here we go, Midnight at the Oasis. So that's one we've talked about. Center, border 1, border 2, border 3, 4, 5, quilt it, bind it. So I have accomplished the first 3. When I get done with the churn dash row, I can mark this off too. And it just kind of, it's like a status report on where I am. Not only is it nice to see that I'm making progress, but it's a reminder if some time goes that, okay, this is where I was. So I can just jump into churn dashes and I know that like I haven't missed anything. Kind of simplifies the the thinking. So I'll just show you a couple. So this is one that I have kitted, but I have not started yet. Mod strawberries, and oh my gosh, this is one I saw a lot, and I was like, oh yeah, that's cute. It's cute. It's okay. But I didn't love like those lighter strawberries compared to the super red strawberries. I didn't love it. Well, when I was in California a couple of years ago in one of the quilt shops, I saw it done in batiks. And they didn't bring these raspberry purpley colors in. They just did it strictly in reds. Oh, it was so beautiful. I just loved it. And so I'm just going to go totally scrappy on it. I'm not even going to do a solid background. It's going to be totally scrappy, low volume whites around it. And then this is my palette for the greens and the berries. That's going to be fun. But that'll probably be when I start, June or something. Summertime, strawberries. What else can I show you in here? Anyways, that's how I organize my projects. So I've got quilts in the works, quilts that I'm planning, and basically what I'm working towards this year all in one little place. And then I just open up to the right section when I'm working on something and I can follow the pattern, and yeah, it works for me. I like it. Okay, so now let's go to Long Time Gone. Only because I didn't have one of those for this. I'm just working from the pattern, which is really tired. It's just kind of fallen apart. So this is Long Time Gone by Jen Kingwell. It is really cool. And if you Google it on Pinterest or somewhere else like that, you can see people do really incredible things with it. This was my first Jen Kingwell that I started. Confessions of a Quilter. I am really good at finishing quilts for other people and really good about abandoning my quilts. And so it's when I started this one, let's see, it would have been 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Anyways, I love it. And I chose, at the time, I was trying to find something to do with my amazing batik stash. And so I chose batiks. And I was in a very earth tone feel at the time. So it is, I don't have a palette page for it. So I'm just going to show you blocks. And I have everything. So you can see in this, there's a lot of blocks. There are filler blocks. I've not done any of those yet. They're just little squares, checkerboard square sets. I haven't done those yet, and I'm working on the pineapple blocks, which are intense. There's a lot of pieces, especially since I'm going scrappy. I thought I had 1 or 2 of those done, but they're not on the top. Anyway, so I'll just show you my blocks so far. They're really, really fun. I'll just kind of go through them. Right now they look like weird little segments because they're not in anything. And I have thought often, oh, can I get any of these put together, pieced together yet? I don't know which way it goes, but you can see there's a lot of, again, like Midnight at the Oasis, there's a process to, I've got my general palette, which for a long time was just in a big tub, basically my kit, my chosen batiks. And then I went through, I was like, oh, well, I'm noticing that I have a lot of blocks with purple in them. So I want to get one with a little bit more green in it. And so I would emphasize the green in the next one. And, oh, all of my darks are dark. All of my blocks are dark. I'm going to do a lighter block, which would really stand out. But I think I've decided to go lighter in my checkerboard. So it will not be like this glaring light block, because it is very light, even though it's beautiful. But then this one's very dark compared to it. And this one was fun. You can see I kind of fussy cut a couple of the batiks to try to get some of them, you know, there's not really much to fussy cut in that one without it being a much bigger piece. But they're so pretty. This one I very intentionally went color chromatically. So if you look at it that way, ooh, it's fun. And that's really a good sampling of the palette right there, because it goes from the greens into those warm rusty golds, purple, a little bit of pink, but I didn't want pink. This one's really cool. I love it when you get secondary patterns in blocks. But that's a lot of pieces. That's a lot of pieces. So this is one I went more green on. The other one was more blue. And then you get a couple that are like the full spectrum. That one was fun to do. That one was really fun to do. See, more churn dashes. God, she likes her churn dashes. And they're all these little 3-inch blocks. But I don't know where I was going with that. Okay, never mind. Anyway, we're almost there. This is another one you can see a lot of secondary patterns, depending on how you look at it. We've got 2 sets of courthouse steps blocks. Oh, nope, 3. I was right. And each one's a little different. Like this one's a little more brown and green. This one goes a little bit more in the purple realm. So even though it's super scrappy, I've tried to, there's the one lonely pineapple block so far. One down, like 20 to go. Oh, so many pieces. I don't know why these ones take me so long. It's just, I did that one. I was like, oh, I am not as close to done as I thought I was. I love this one. Something about that warm golden color in there with the cool blues and the teal. Oh, I love it. I love it, love it. And then the last 2, which were actually the first 2 I did. Kind of set the stage for everything else. And when I started this, I very ambitiously thought, oh, well, I'll just do 2 at once. So, because I couldn't decide which way I wanted to do it. I had seen fresher, more modern versions. Look at this, is amazing, you guys. This is the same block as this. Isn't that incredible what fabric choices do? And they're both cute. They both work, but they are so dramatically different. So I got through the first, set of blocks, and then I was like, this is crazy. I cannot process 2 totally different quilts at the same time. And when you start getting into these ones, there's a lot going on in choosing fabrics and everything. So I abandoned the fresh version. But it is so cute, and I have since seen my friend's finish in Portland. She had this draped on her couch one time when I was over. Oh, it was so lovely. And so someday I will come back and finish this. But first I've got to finish my batik one because it is vastly closer to being done. So I've got my, here, I've got my foundation pieces for my pineapples, and I use the Carol Dokes paper. I have done just normal printer paper, but the Carol Dokes is a little lighter weight and it certainly tears easier. It's easier to remove all those little pieces. So I have those to do, and then I've got the setting squares, and then it's assembly, and that will be really exciting when we get there. Anyways, it's one of those eternal projects that looks pretty on the wall in the meantime and doesn't have a cubby at this point because it's mostly blocks. Let's see, where can we put this guy? There we go. Okay, so where are we at? We're at 50 minutes. Okay, we're doing pretty good. So the last, what I've got on my itinerary, okay, let's do the quilt top parade. I don't think it'll take too long because there's not a lot in there. And hopefully I can remember what everything's called because I'm thinking I didn't pull patterns for stuff. Okay, let me tuck my chair in here. Oh, you okay, Grace? So this one is ready to be quilted if I decide to do it on my little machine. It's almost sandwiched. Oh, I forgot how much I like this one. Okay, so we'll carefully unfold this one. Oh, thank you, Gracie. Woo! So log cabin blocks. Try to be gentle. Oh. And this one was so much fun to do because the fabrics are just delightful. They were like all my favorite fabrics. I started this last spring in one of my winter doldrums phases, and I was like, I just need to do something that I love, that's mindless and happy, and it was. It was from a magazine, American Patchwork and Quilting, because that's my favorite. Yep, here we go. I even have the issue. So this is American Patchwork and Quilting issue 165, and it was the cover quilt. This is an old antique, and so I just used modern fabrics in the same color palette. Not very often do I stick to the color palette I see. A lot of times I see it, I'm like, oh, that's really cool. It would be cool like ... This one I saw and I was like, that's so pretty. I just want to do it that way. So that one is ready to be quilted. I'm going to fold it up here really quickly. And my backing, oh my goodness. It's owls. And this was a Corey, oh, I always mess up her name. Corey Durante. I think it's Durante. I've already cut off the selvages. And then my binding will come back out to this. So it just stays simple at the edge. And then this is going to be my label. So there's a bit of a story to this. I'll explain it while I fold. I have one extra block. And you'll see I have written in pen, oops, that I'm going to embroider over that. So what happened was we moved. I got all of the blocks done before we left so that I could put all of my fabric away. And then we moved from Oregon to Washington State, and I pulled this project out. It was the first one I pulled out because I was like, oh, I'm so close to this one. It's ready to just assemble the top. I have all the blocks done. I've got the backing, I've got the border, like I'm ready to go. I could literally finish this quilt. And so I pulled it out and I started laying it out, and oh my land, I was short a block. But while I was totally scrappy on the rounds of the log cabin, I'm gonna pull it out one more time, I consistently used one minty stripe for the center of each one, which is a very traditional way to approach a log cabin. Traditionally the center of the log cabin was red, so you'll see old log cabins, antiques that have red centers, and that is kind of symbolic of like the heart of the home. And so this is obviously fresh minty colors. I'm not going to throw a big strong red in the middle. So I chose this minty stripe, and it is the center of every single block. But as I was laying them out, I was like, oh no, I'm short a block. So I went digging through my stash. I was out. I had no more minty stripe. Oh, woe is me. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just find the closest thing I can, and it will be fine. And so then I made my extra block. It turned out cute. It was all gonna be fine. Squared it up and started assembling my rows. But I was saving this one till the end. I don't know why I was saving it till the end. Anyways, I got all my rows done and I had an extra block. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I made this block specifically because I was short a block. Well, it turns out I just can't count, or I can count and then I was tired and couldn't count later. One way or the other. And so I had an extra block. So this is going to be, I'm going to applique, turn the edges under and applique this onto the back of my quilt after I embroider, oops, onto it. And it's just going to be, it'll just float somewhere in a corner or something like that, and be a little memory. Because for one, the center block doesn't match any of the ones on the front. So I'm super glad I saved it to the end. But also it was totally unnecessary to make this block. So there's my little story. All right. And then, I'm gonna bring this up here. So this is my giant tub, and it has my quilt tops and then their associated backings, if I have backings for them, that are ready to quilt basically. And they always require a real good pressing after, I'm gonna tilt this up just a little bit. They always require a real good pressing after I store them like this because, folded. But it's been a really good way to just kind of protect them and keep them safe. So this one is Mod Rings. It's a double wedding ring. It's done by the same people as, here we go. Metro Rings, not Mod, excuse me, Metro Rings. So kind of wonderful. I've done 2 of these. You use a curved ruler to cut out, you sew these in stripes and then you use a curved ruler to cut them out, and it is so quick and easy. And here is the color palette. I did this one from a jelly roll, actually. And then you can see when I finish something, I put a check mark. I finished the top in 2019. Don't worry about it. But this is actually the project that my quilting machine, so I usually use my Artista 200 to quilt, and it died. Like, it just cooped out on me. And so it is partially quilted, and frankly, it is debatable whether the quilting will stay in it or not. It is a sore point. It is in timeout. I am very unhappy. But it was all from the same line of fabric, one of those rare ones that I did that. And it's so happy. It's really lovely. And you can see I was just doing a meander and then a bigger swirl. I mean, just real simple quilting, you guys. I'm not extravagant or anything. But then you can see where I was so close. Was I really that close? Oh, I guess there's a corner over here too that's not done. It's so sad. But it's a happy quilt, and it's got all these cute little, like, it made me think of Portland at the time, because it's got raindrops and swirly clouds and sunshines and just real sweet fabric. And you can't see it very well, but the thread I chose is variegated, so it picked up a lot of these colors. And anyways, I don't know what to do about it, because the tension is wrong on the back. And as you can see, it's at least 80% quilted. It's almost done. I mean, I was just flying through it, but I need to decide quickly, because I don't want to leave these pins in here. When you live in moist climates, pins will rust if you leave them in too long. So I either need to switch machines and continue on and just leave the tension the way it is, because really, odds are it will be fine. It's just not up to standards. I don't know if you can see. No, you can't really see it. Anyways, it just wasn't, it's not completing the stitch appropriately. And so, but I don't think it will like snag on anything, because my stitches are fairly even for the most part. Anyways, I just have to decide. I have to make that choice and commit because it can't stay in that state forever. Okay, I'm going to kind of fly through these as much as you can with, let's go this way. So this one, that is not the binding for that. This one is kind of a crazy quilt, but you'll see why I chose the colors, because it's also special. This, my father's mother cross-stitched this panel. Oops, it's upside down. Oh my goodness. And it is primary color city. I mean, her stitching is lovely. There was a stain in it. There are a couple of stains in it. It had just been stored after she passed. She passed 22 years ago. And but here she is, Beverly Larson. She stitched it in from 89 to 96. She was not a fast stitcher. I'm pretty sure it's the only thing she was working on at the time. But my mom was teaching her to cross stitch, and she did it. She finished it. And so I just tried to find fabrics that fit the palette. It's wild and crazy and not my normal Christmas vibes, but it's a really important stitch, you know, and I didn't want it sitting in a box forever. So I need to find a good backing for it. I don't have one yet. I've considered adding a border. I actually cut this one out, but then I don't know that I love the print with everything, because it's pretty stylized, and this is pretty, I don't know, maybe it works. Give me your thoughts on that. Anyways, it's potentially ready to quilt, but potentially needs a border. I don't know. But it's special because my grandma did it. Now, normally when I fold quilts, I will fold them with the backing side out. But when I only have a top, I fold them face side out so that I can protect the seams, because the seams are still in a pretty vulnerable state until you quilt it, and kind of nest them all together with something else. So that's why I'm folding them this way, in case you're curious. Okay, so this next one, super cute backing. Oh my goodness, it just is awesome. Ghost stories. What does it say? Build a robot. Cacti. Fun facts. Unicorns. I mean, everything about this cute little kitty cat on the shelf. This is adorable. I love this fabric. And it is the backing for my book nerd. Which I went pretty solid with. The background up close is this really cute ruby star polka dot, but all of the pages have script writing on them. So there's music books because I love to play. I'm a musician. Different styles of word prints because every book says something else. And let's see, are there any others? Yeah, I love this botanical scripted one. Oh my goodness, so pretty. Anyway, so it's super simple, but I really love how it turned out, and it'll be really cute with this backing. And then I'm gonna bind it with that, some grunge. So, and I'm just gonna, for the sake of time, gently set this aside, and I'll fold them when we're done. Okay, this next one, okay, this was a dream quilt. This was a splurge. Liberty of London fabrics are spectacular, and they are also very expensive. But there's this company, Duckadilly Fabrics, which will do block of the months, and this one, oh, I almost canceled it because it was money. So literally the week before the shutdown in 2020, the week before, I saw this on Instagram and I fell in love. It is so beautiful. Let's see here. It is so big. My computer keeps trying to go to sleep. And I just like impulse signed up. I was like, yes, I want to do it. I had a job. I had the money. I was like, okay, we've got this. Oh, it's all these gorgeous lawn weight, Liberty lawns. And it's king size. It's huge. Oh, but it's so beautiful. So beautiful, and it's full rainbow, which I love. Anyways, so I signed up for it. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be so fun. I told my husband about it. He's like, okay. And excuse me. Oh, and these prints are just lovely. I love this one with the little birds and the mushrooms. It's just so good. Everything about this I love. I love, love, love it. And this is my backing. Anyways, so I signed up for this. I was so excited. And then the plague happened. And everything shut down. And I was working less hours. I was like, and then my husband got laid off. And I was like, we can't afford this. And bless his heart, he's like, you already have 2 months of it. By the time we were like pinching pennies and really concerned, and he was like looking for work everywhere he could try to find it and looking at transferring. And anyways, he's like, no, like this is your little happy thing. Like we'll just cut back elsewhere and keep doing your thing. My heart. He knows me. Anyways, so I kept doing it and I kept up with it, which is unheard of. Laura keeping up with a sew-along? Never. But I did, and it's done, and now I'm too chicken to quilt it because it's gorgeous and I'm just chicken. And then my machine crapped out on me, so it's probably a good thing that I didn't start doing it because that would have been bad. I don't think that the fabric is so lightweight in a lawn weight. Tana lawns are very lightweight, and I don't think it could handle quilting it and then having to pull that out and quilt it again. So I'm glad I procrastinated. Anyways, it was a block of the month. It was super fun. I loved doing it. They've revived it once or twice, but right now they're doing, I signed up for another one last year. I haven't started it yet. I'm at the collecting the blocks at this point stage. I know it has a spot in here. It is, there we go. Oh, and this picture, don't judge it by this picture, because my printer's a goober, but go look up Daccadilly Secret Garden Block of the Month if you want to really see the colors, because it's gorgeous. And with the little flutterbys going around in there. Yep. One of these days, I will do it. It'll be great. This is a really old one. I don't have the pattern information for it. I'm pretty sure it was just a leaflet pattern. Rail fence with a little, what looks like an hourglass. I always thought of it as little butterflies in the garden kind of thing. And I used this beautiful Lycian taupe. But this has been one that I worked on years ago, and I finished years ago, honestly, and it's been sitting in the box for a long time because it just kind of, I don't know. I'm just not ready to finish it yet, I guess. It's beautiful, but, and I have backing for it. It's just this soft polka dot, which will be nice on it. But I don't know, it's just, it's been a long time, and you know, it'll have its moment at some point. Okay, next, because we gotta keep moving. This is just a postage stamp quilt. You can look up postage stamp quilts, and there are tutorials from A to Z. This is another time when I just needed something bright and happy, and I had all these awesome scraps. It's not big, but it'll be a great, like, I'm reading a book, kind of like drape it over my lap. And this is the backing. Oh my goodness, lemurs. Thank you, Tulip Ink. I mean, I don't think it could be better. It's wild and crazy and super fun. Anyways, that one will quilt up quick. I did another one in fig trees. I think I showed it in my last video. And I just did straight quilting across it. I think I'll do something very similar with this one, because I liked the finish of it. Okay, two more. This is Vintage Farm Girl. Is that right? Farm Girl Vintage. I can say the right name. Farm Girl Vintage. Lori Holt. Everybody's probably seen this one. It's definitely had its day in the sun, and I jumped on it. Oh, my nose. Do I have allergies or something? My goodness. Okay, here is my Farm Girl Vintage. Ooh. So fun. A lot of work into this one. It's one of those ones that you start and you're like, oh yeah, I can just whip that up, no problem. But I did 6-inch blocks, and there's a lot of pieces. And it's a mix of fabrics. There's Moda lines in there. There's fig tree. There's some Lori Holt fabrics mixed in, like these cute little, where are they? There's these cute little chickens somewhere in there. Anyway, they're adorable. So there she is. It's very cute. I do not have a backing for this one yet, though, so that's why it's not finished. Oh, I also chose on the pattern they did a red prairie point border around it, and mine is a rainbow prairie point. And unlike a lot of my scrappy projects where I just like grab what comes to hand, this one I put in stacks, so the same color repeat happens every time. It might be a different print, so like this pink is different from the next pink that shows up, or this yellow is different from the next yellow that shows up, but they were stacked by color, and I just grabbed whatever was on the top of that stack. I think it gave a really whimsical finish. So yeah, that one's fun. I would love to get this one quilted though. Maybe it's one that I should be watching for backing for this year, because it'd be really cute to have out, you know, spring, summertime. It's very fresh. And I don't want it to live in this box forever. Okay, my last one, I don't have the physical pattern for because I gave it to my sister, but this is Elizabeth Hartman Fancy Forest. And this I'm very proud of. So I did it out of batiks, my batik love here. Oh, I always forget. And I'm not going to be tall enough to show it all. So we'll just do like chunks of it. So that's the cool side. And then aren't they pretty? Oh my goodness, I'll get up closer so you can see some of the batiks. They were so much fun. And I found the neatest, it's like this like cobblestone-y batik for the background. And I just, oh my goodness. I loved making this one. This one was really rewarding. Again, like I mentioned before, you have to stay really organized. I found the best way for me to do this was one block at a time, and I laid out all of the pieces next to my sewing machine and picked them up as I saw them. Like I followed her steps, but I had to have it sitting out next to me because there are, like the bunny's probably the simplest. One of the bunny and the fox are probably one of the simplest blocks. But the owls, they are a beast. I mean, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, like 16 pieces in the eye, one eye alone, that you have to keep organized and straight. And she does the method where you do a whole square and you stitch it on, you draw the line down the middle, diagonal lines. But you draw the line down the middle and then you trim off to the 1/4 inch selvage and flip it over. So there's just a lot of pieces floating around. So you want to keep it tidy. Oh, but it was so rewarding. In these butterflies, or maybe they're fireflies because they've got white bones. Gotta be fireflies. Anyways, I adore this one. And I have backing. I don't know why I'm not done. That's my backing. I just gotta get my machine working. And then I think this one and Farm Girl Vintage and maybe Book Nerd are my first 3 to go under the needle. Oh, so fun. I loved doing this one. In fact, I enjoyed doing this one enough. I have bought almost all of her other like animal. This one's very different. I don't know, but I love these like scattered animal ones. They are so cute and just fun to do. Okay, so there are excuse me, there are my tops that are ready to be quilted. So my plans for this month are to finish step 5 of my Pierre and hopefully get at least 1 block assembled. And then I would like to finish my little churn dash blocks and then either start Baker's Dozen or I have an alternate that's been calling my name. So I have this kit for Tilda, what's it called? It's cursive, Bird Pond Quilt. There we go. Oh my goodness, it's delightful. And, oh, I also have her whales, which I love, but I haven't kitted up yet. I want to get Bird Pond done first, and then I'll go into, so here's Bird Pond. And I just got this stack. I haven't assigned this any spots, but, and this is my background. But I'm definitely in a phase, you know, it's the end of winter. We are all, I think, I just feel like more and more I'm seeing, oh, I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for bright, front, happy colors and stuff. And I am completely feeling that way too. I just want happy colors. And so as motivated as I am to start Baker's Dozen, and I will start it in the next month or so because I've got plans for that one. But I really want either like Fab Farm or these cute little ducks, or, you know, just something fresh and happy, kind of like my log cabin that will just be easy to pull out and work on for an afternoon on a gray day like this. And just, you know, just something happy. Let me see. I had pulled out all these things to share with you, but I feel like I've been rambling for a while, so I should probably pull it short. Oh, this is my, I'll just show you. It'll only take a minute. This is my strawberry kit, again, in its little bucket. And one of the fun things, let me get closer so you can see, is a couple of my low volumes, they just have a little hint of pink or red. So they're mostly like white on whites and stuff that I pulled from my scraps. But occasionally there's something that'll give a little pop, which is really fun. I love doing that with low volumes, just kind of some controlled color coming into the background that complements everything else going on. But I mean, this is going to be a late spring, early summer start. I have another, this one's an ongoing project that is, again, I think of it more of a summer project. And while I don't strictly stitch in season, these colors are hot. So this one does not have a pattern. This is ultimately a grandmother's flower garden, hexagon blocks. But I saw a quilt. We have this dream of having a camper trailer. We love to camp, but I'm a bit of a sissy and I've got some health issues that make camping, it can be very uncomfortable for me sometimes, even though I love it. I love getting out there. And so we would love to get a camper trailer at some point. And so I was looking through pictures of camper trailers, and draped over one of the like bunk units in this trailer was an antique grandmother's flower garden, but large. And I was like, oh my goodness, that is so pretty. I could make mine look like the sunset. Again, like it's nothing near what the colors were in that. But oh, they're beautiful. And it's really fun. I'm just doing it on my machine. It's big enough that I can piece it on my machine. This is gonna be my background, so the dividing ring around everything. And then I've got a couple more ready to go. It's my kit. So this one's really fun. But I think it'll come out when the strawberries do. It'll be like a batik summer. It's one of those ones that sits on my shelf, though, and just flirts with me. It's like, oh, you know you want to. And speaking of batik summer, this is another one that I would probably think about. See, now with my cross stitch, I am like, I could start something new every week and it wouldn't bother me. Well, maybe not every week, but close. And my quilts, I'm a little bit more reserved because I understand the magnitude of like the space and the time and everything that goes into them. Like crust is just so great. You just tuck it into its little bag and tuck it on its cubby shelf, and it waits for you. But quilts take space, especially once you start breaking up the kit. The kits are great because they don't take as much. But the trip I've referred to a couple of times in California, I was all sorts of inspired. And this one, the cover picture, so this is the August, does it have an issue number? No, because it's a sampler issue. So it's the August 2021 issue, when we could finally do a little bit of traveling. We went camping because we weren't ready for big crowds or anything yet, but I fell in love with this. We'd been in the mountains. We'd gone to see Bryce Canyon and then ended in the Lake Tahoe area. And this quilt is just so gorgeous. And I think it will go together really quickly because it's just like, it's strips turned different ways. I did a quilt very similar to this where it was, you know, linear. You basically sold a bunch of long strips together in willy-nilly order and then cut those strips down into some other shape, and then it became secondary patterns. I mean, this seems to be a very similar idea to that. And this stripe, the black and white stripe to frame everything, but then it continuing out into the border. I mean, there's some planning with this, but it's so effective and pretty. Anyways, here's my kit, and this is that little stripe border, and this is going to be my binding. So pretty, such happy fabrics. Anyway, so that's one that also flirts with me from the shelf because it's ready to go. I've got everything, but it's one of those, like, it's kind of like I don't know what analogy I'm looking for. Cutting the strap on a trailer that you've strapped down so tight, and you know that, or unpacking a car while you're camping, everything fits perfectly the first time, and then you go to reload and you're like, this was not all in here. It's not possible. It never fit. Anyway, so there's just some of the things that sit. I've got this, it's a 4x4 cube, so 16 cube IKEA shelf over here, and I stack my plastic boxes on there, kind of like shoe boxes, but I leave the pattern showing on the end so I know which one it is, and so they just sit here and flirt with me and say, work on me, you know you want to. And this year I'm feeling the pull towards some of them, so just some things to look towards. So I may or may not start something new if I meet my goals. That's the caveat. So unlike with my cross stitch where I'll ditch something and move on to another one, knowing I'll come back to the original at some point. Well, I know I would come back to the original on quilting. I've got more refined goals for it. So if I meet all of my goals and I've got extra time before next we meet, I will probably start something fresh and springy and pop the lid on it. Anyways, so that's my plans. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, you guys. This has been really fun. I'm so glad that I filmed today, so it'll kind of float in the digital world for a couple of days before it goes live. But I wanted to meet our deadline because we've got a specific day for these videos. Anyways, I hope you found something helpful or inspirational, or you just, sewed on something, or whatever you do while you watch my videos. I hope it made you happy and that you've enjoyed. I am so grateful you are here with me. I sure enjoy making the videos, so thank you. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I always forget to say that, but that's kind of the game. So I hope you have a wonderful month. We're going to welcome spring in a week and a half, whether it looks like it or not. Spring is going to spring. Spring will sprung. Spring spring is coming. There is light at the end of the tunnel. Winter will not last forever. I hope you're well. I hope you're happy. And I will see you on April 16th for another quilting video. Thank you so much. Happy stitching.